Friday, January 25th, and I'm your host, Paula Hersey. On Barnstable Today, we learn proper dog park etiquette, talk with the Sturgis Theater Department about their upcoming one-act plays, mark our calendars for spring and summer Barnstable Rec registration, and a gentle reminder to renew your summer boat slips and moorings. First up, municipal and community news and notes. Do you love nature and like to walk the wooded trails of our town? Here is a perfect volunteer opportunity. Barnstable Land Trust and the Town of Barnstable's Land Acquisition and Preservation Committee are looking for trail volunteers to monitor various sections of the Cape Cod Pathways trail system that runs the entire width of the town of Barnstable. Please contact Will Holden, BLT's land steward, for more information and to sign up to be a volunteer. 508-771-2585, extension 102, or will@blt.org. The first student-penned play and a new venue for theater productions. Our chat with Sturgis Charter School theater teachers Diane Young and Anna Botsford has all the elements of a fun evening out. How do you get rid of the winter doldrums? By attending one-act plays by students. With me today, Anna Botsford, Diana Young from Sturgis Theater. Welcome.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
You as well.
So into a new semester and some new theater. So there's exciting things for your one-act plays this year. February 8th, 9th, and 10th, the winter one-act plays. And we're going to start with, this is a combined theater evening with both schools, but each school is doing an independent play.
Yes. Correct.
All right, so let's start with Sturgis East. What are you doing?
So Sturgis East is putting on a production called Say Yes. It's a student-written production, first time we've ever done that. So we had a group of students who started over the summer and finished into the fall writing this one-act play about the main character, whose name is Marty, and he's kind of a Debbie Downer. He's had a rough go of it recently. He's not happy at work, home, etc. And kind of as the final straw, his girlfriend breaks up with him for being such a negative person. And he decides, okay, forget this. From now on, I'm going to say yes to every opportunity that comes my way. And that brings him some happiness, but it gets him into some sticky situations. So.
I love that it's student-written. Is this the first in the history of Sturgis of having something written by students?
So.
It is,
yes. And this was something they initiated too. So at the end of the school year last year, we were talking about our goals for this year, and they said, we wanted to write our own one-act play. And I said, all right, go for it. It's up to you. Like, I will support you in that, and you just have to write it. So.
Right. And the writing for that is a little bit different than a general English class, right? So how do students kind of learn the format of script and playwriting?
So a lot of them have taken theater class before, so they've gotten a sprinkling of experience with it there. And then I think what I had to work with them a lot on is reminding them that this is theater and not film. So they at one point had this, wild police car chase, and I said, okay, but how are you going to do that on a stage? And so that was a lot of our thought process of how can you put this on a stage and still make it entertaining and still make it believable, but also suggest some of the excitement and tension in the atmosphere that they're working on.
That sounds fabulous.
It was really fun.
And West?
Yes, West, we are doing the play called A Simple Task by Alan Haynell. I actually just remembered this. This is the first play I ever directed at Sturgis 12 years ago. And I loved doing it. It was more of like an in-class project that we did. And so I found the script, and I was reading through it with a lot of my stage students, and they were like, we have to do this play. It's a really quirky little comedy about the main character, Empy. She's just been hired at her first job ever. She's very excited to get the job done. She wants to be the best employee she can be. And her job is to deliver this box to her boss. And each new scene is a different quirky creative character who stops her from completing this task. And so we've had a lot of fun doing character development with these quirky characters. And then each boss that she goes back to is a different boss, but claiming that they are the same person. And what we've done is each boss is being developed after one of the 7 deadly sins. So we've had a lot of fun playing with that whole aspect of it as well, creating characters.
So when students are creating characters, there's a limited amount of, life experience that a student has. How do you help them kind of understand character development at that age?
I think I've said this before. A lot is not necessarily like, how have you been through this before?
Right.
But we just play physically in the space first and play with how would you put this character in your body. So that's one way we play with it. We've also, my co-director and I, who's a student, have been showing a lot of different comedian characters, SNL characters, and showing them small little snippets of videos that we want them to play with, like ideas other comedians have come up with. So that's a way we've been kind of playing with character development with this show.
That's great. And talking about physical spaces, exciting news is that you have a physical multi-purpose space now to actually put your own productions on down on Main Street. So talk a little bit about the new space.
So it's brand new. It's
Yep.
totally it's a blank canvas, really. So the goal from Sturgis's standpoint was to be able to house a lot of different types of events in this new space, whether that be theater performances, concerts. We held the lottery there last week, convocation, other events that where we've had to go into other people's spaces to now be able to house on our own and to be used by multiple areas of the school. So it was the old Wings building. So it's just really a big open warehouse. So our sort of challenge that we've been working with is how to create this into a theater space. And it's really fun, it's really exciting. It's about equidistant between both campuses, so it really feels like a shared space that all of our students can kind of try their hand at, I
Yeah.
guess.
And talking about shared space, there's a supper there.
There is.
Tell us a little bit more about this fundraiser, this spaghetti fundraiser.
One of the things we have to do as far as creating this building into a theater space is we are renting a lot of equipment, such as lights, curtains, and things like that to really give it the right feel and provide the right atmosphere so that we can have stage lighting and do all of the sort of technical effects that we are used to. So that equipment costs a lot of money. So one of the ways we're trying to help defray that cost is with this spaghetti supper event. It's the first time we've ever done a fundraiser like this before. Do you want to say a little bit more
it's
about
a pretty big undertaking, but we've had a lot of fun planning it. It's for Friday, February 1st from 5 to 7. Not only will you get an amazing spaghetti dinner with all of the fixings and dessert, but there'll be performances from our music department and also other segments from our theater department, like our improv groups are going to be performing. And then at least one scene from each of our plays is going to be doing a little teaser performance for the audience to kind of get them to go, oh, I want to come see this production next week, you know? So it'll be a really fun night of entertainment and food.
Great. And at the door, tickets at the door, is that how it's happening, or do they need to go in advance?
You can reserve tickets
do
ahead of
either,
time.
yeah.
So if you wanted to do that, you can email our email address, which is stagetix, so STAGETIX, at sturgischarterschool.org. But you can also purchase tickets the day of at the door.
Excellent. And talking a little bit further here is, I hadn't realized that there was a Massachusetts Educational Theater Guild, and there's a big festival happening, and you're going to enter these two plays.
Yeah, so we're entering both of our one acts into the festival competition, which is the full all-state festival. Both of us are placed at Bourne High School on Saturday, March 2nd. It's a full day of seeing theater. There's 7 other schools that will be at the school performing. And so there are 3 judges that are there. They vote and write up a whole adjudication sheet for your performance, and they choose 3 schools to move on to the semifinal round, which is 2 weeks later.
That's exciting things,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So just to recap, your Spaghetti Supper fundraiser is February 1st, 5 to 7?
Yep.
Correct.
At the new
Yes,
building.
at the new
Building.
space at
And that is
529.
520?
529 Main Street.
529 Main Street, and then your performances are February 8th, 9th, and 10th. Tickets the same way, they can email that
Yep.
ticket address?
Same address, or they can buy at the door.
Okay, and that time for the performances?
7 p.m. is the start of our performances for Friday night, Saturday night, and then 2 p.m. Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon.
Wow, lots of performances that
Yeah.
weekend. Well, I wish you all the best of luck in your festival.
Thank you.
And obviously in your new space. How exciting.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. There is a right way and a wrong way to enter the dog park. Animal Control Officer Cindy Sherman has the proper etiquette and more tips for a fun dog park visit. Does your dog have etiquette? Do you? At the dog park, there is etiquette to follow. With me today, Animal Control Officer Cindy Sherman. Cindy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So Park's been up and running. I know it's a little crazy in the wintertime.
Yeah.
It's not as fun.
Oh, there's still lots of people out there, though.
Is there really?
Oh, yeah.
Those hardy dogs.
Yep.
But I think there's just a little bit of time that we can take today to kind of get people to understand how to bring their dogs in and out of the park.
Sure. So the first thing you want to remember is always have your dog on a leash when you take him out of the car. He should always be on a leash from the car to the sally port. So there's a little gated area called the sally port between the parking lot and the actual park. Now, what's happening is when you bring your dog into the sally port, you should make sure that you're the only one in that area. If there's someone else already in there, wait till they get inside the actual fenced-in area. So but the people that are already in that fenced-in area, it's really important that they, make sure that that entrance is clear. That's, a problem that we're having is, a lot of the dogs are just like all congregating at that entrance, so it makes it difficult for the new dog coming in. So if you, make sure that you're not gathering right at that entrance, be, off, like in the center of the park somewhere or something with your dog, and make sure you're staying with your dog and your dog is under control.
Okay. And when they're in that sally port, one of the things that I know with my own dogs is that I like to get their leash off in that sally port.
Correct. Yep.
Why is that?
Well, because what happens is if you bring your dog into the large area with the leash on, sometimes they feel very threatened and they get very defensive because they're on a leash and all these other dogs are not. So, it's kind of important to try and get the leash off and then open the gate and let your dog into the area where he can go whichever direction he wants to, or she, when they get in there. Because if they have that leash on, then they feel like they have no control of what's about to happen.
Right. And how about on that back side of it, when you're exiting the park, is it somewhat the same?
Well, what's happening, it is a lot the same. What happens a lot of times is when somebody's exiting, sometimes other dogs will sneak into that sally port area as well. And, so it makes it difficult for the person who's trying to put their dog on a leash and leave the area if there's another dog in there running around and then, the owner's trying to come in and get their dog. So again, you want to try to keep that entrance and exit area clear.
Right. And there's sally ports on both sides, the little dogs and big dogs?
All three areas.
Okay.
The training area, the large area, and the small area. They all have a sally port area.
Excellent. What are some of the other etiquette pieces that folks should know when they're bringing their dog to the dog park?
So when you bring your dog to the dog park, it's important to realize the difference between play and not so much. Sometimes dogs can get a little rough with other dogs. And, some dogs play really rough, but you've got to make sure that your dog is not antagonizing another dog. You may think that your dog's just having fun, but you've got to, watch and make sure, because sometimes the dog on the other end is not always enjoying it.
Okay.
So, that's a harassment thing. Nobody likes to be harassed, So, it's tough because some people are like, well, that's how my dog plays. But you don't want your dog harassing other dogs.
Right. And then some of the other things that we know from the Friends of the Barnstable Dog Parks is that you really have to curb and pick up after your dog.
Absolutely, that is so very important,
Right.
so very important. You don't want to be stepping in that, you don't want your dog stepping in that or rolling in that.
Right.
It's very important that, you should be watching your dog at all times, watching your dog's behavior, watching what your dog is doing, so you should see exactly when and where your dog goes. Make sure you pick it up right away.
Right. And the water's not available at this time, right?
The
because
water
of
is not on.
winter.
There are dishes there are bowls there. What's happening is a lot of people will bring their own water with them, but no, the water is not on at this time because obviously it will freeze.
Right. Any last words you want for folks to know about the dog park?
Just have fun and be safe and, make sure you're, watching your dog and, just have fun.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Cindy.
Thank you.
Registration dates for Barnstable Recreation spring, after-school programs, and summer leisure programs are set. and Assistant Director John Gleason has all the details. You know what's going to make you think about spring and summer? 20-degree weather days. Here with me today, John Gleason. We've got spring brochures and summer leisure program ready to go.
Yeah, our spring brochure is currently in the works. All our staff has been working hard to plan for the spring and get all our dates, times, and locations and new programs out ready for the brochure, which should be out just before February school vacation. And we will be providing it through a hard copy to the schools, and we also put in an email to all the people in our system so they get an electronic version as well.
And the electronic version, obviously, they can even just go to the website. If they don't have an account now's the time to get those accounts set up, right?
Absolutely. You always want to pre-do that. If you don't have an online registration account, you can always call in if you don't know how to do it, but it's self-explanatory on the website of how to create your account. And once you finish all that information, we get pinged with an email to say, hey, we have a new account that wants to be set up, and then we forward on a username and password to make sure that they're all set to go. In today's world, there's nothing better than online registration. You can sit at the comfort of your home, you can be at work, whatever you're doing, you could do it from your cell phone, from a tablet, computer, and you don't have to stand in the long lines like you once had to many years ago.
Yeah, we were talking about that this morning. That brings us to the leisure program, which is always has been one of those, first come, first serve kind of thing, and there's some really cool stuff that's happening. But that's the date for registration has been March?
Yeah, March 19th will be the date of summer leisure program. The locations are to be determined. We're still in the talks with the school to figure out what school locations we can use for the summer. That depends on what kind of construction work they have at the schools to clean up and get ready for the new school year. So we kind of work around what they have going on. But it's March 19th. Same thing. The information will be on the website. It will be on the brochure. There'll be packets available online or in our department in the coming weeks to get all that stuff prepared. So when you want to come in person or do it online, it's all there ready to go.
Right. And underway right now is basketball. I had the chance to go out there, and folks will see some of that next week. But
yeah, absolutely. So we've the kids have been practicing since right after Thanksgiving, and they've been working on their skills and learning how to play the game. And now they're starting to get into games, which is fun to watch. Right. It's fun to see them take their skills and put it into a game situation. We have all sorts of skill levels with our after-school program with our fourth through 7th graders. We have kids that have never played basketball before, and they're learning how to play and work with their teammates, and all the way through to kids that are playing competitive basketball right now for the Barnstable Youth Basketball League travel team. So we have it all, which is great because those players get to kind of work on their leadership skills and work with the players that don't know as much and be kind of good mentors and role models to them, and the other kids get to play with other kids that are just as good as them or slightly better and kind of improve upon their skills. And the games are a lot of fun. We don't stress too much the competition piece of it, but it is fun, to have a clock running and a score being kept, and but it's all fun. It's all for fun.
Right. And it's so funny. There's I had stopped at the girls over at BIS, and there's probably 40, 50 girls, but your boys teams are huge.
Yeah, our boys team, boys participants has always been a huge turnout. When I was a program coordinator, I think we had upwards of like 72 boys in our after-school program for middle school. Right. And we just really couldn't take any more. It was bustling at the seams. Our girls program has always been a little bit less. And going to the National Park and Rec Conference this past fall, we're kind of learning that nationwide, girls are not participating in sports like the boys do and like the girls used to do years ago. There's some sort of fall off or disconnect between them participating in sports and doing other activities. So we try to offer a wide variety of things to get as many kids as possible, but we have a decent amount of girls. We're very happy with the amount we have, but we could always use more. We'd always love more, but yeah, sometimes the girls don't participate as much as the boys do. But
Right.
we'll keep working to get them in that gym or out at the field or
Right.
in the classroom, whatever we're doing. We always try to make sure they're
Yeah,
engaged.
it was fascinating to watch them learn how to pivot and pass the other day.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the beauty. I
Right.
mean these kids are just learning. Even if they've been playing for a while, sometimes they don't understand all the concepts of, the sports. And there's one thing to learn how to dribble and learn how to pass, and learn how to shoot. But then there's little small intricacies of how to make a pass when you're being covered, and how to pivot around to avoid that defender to make that good pass. And
How to set a screen.
yeah, how to set a screen to get yourself, get a teammate open,
Right.
or to get yourself open if you're dribbling. All those little things that they're still learning, and they will continue to learn. I personally coach my daughter's travel team, and she's in 6th grade, and I'm even teaching those girls these same sort of things because they're still learning how to do these things. And we get called for illegal screens all the time because we're not set, or we still travel and double dribble and all those things. Even though they play at a competitive level, they're still learning all these things. So we try to do the basics in recreation basketball. So if they do want to move on to the travel team, or hopefully someday play for the high school team,
Right.
that they're going to be ready.
Excellent. And before we wrap up, what's happening at HYCC this weekend?
We have Rock Night. Rock Night is something we used to do in the past, and it's so much fun. We brought it back this past year, where it's this Friday night for an hour and a half. It's $5 to skate, and $5 if you need rentals. It's 7 to 8:30 at night, and it's kind of like almost like a school dance, but on the ice. You're skating around to music. You're hanging out with friends. There'll be some little contests, maybe some prizes to be handed out. It's just a fun way for them to interact in a positive environment, and you kind of don't really have the separation of the boys on one side, girls on another on a school dance.
Right.
They skate around with each other, have a good time, and we got great music, and it's just going to be a blast. So I recommend that any 6th and 7th grade boy or girl come Friday night to skate with us.
That's so much fun.
Oh, it's fun all the time to see that they're out skating and interacting
Right.
with each other, and like I said, it's just like a school dance, and it's a way for them to interact with each other outside of school, because sometimes they can't, if they're not on the same sports
Right.
team or a Girl Scout troop, or they don't dance together, whatever they may do outside of school, sometimes they're not always connecting, as a big group. So
Right.
it's a way for them to have something fun with their school outside of school, and
Right.
and in a positive environment. So we're looking forward to it tonight.
Excellent. Let's rock on.
All right, yes, absolutely.
Reminders, renewals, moorings, and marinas, oh my. Assistant Harbor Master Derek Lawson has all the deadlines. Have you checked your mail? The pile underneath that kitchen counter as the holidays just passed? Yeah, your boat mooring list renewal's probably in there. So with me today, Derek Lawson, Assistant Harbor Master. You got to get them in, right?
Yes, you do. It's that time of the year.
All right, so let's just recap for people what's happening. So renewals of what?
Yes, it's renewal season at MEA. We have mooring renewals, we have mooring waitlist renewals, we have slip renewals and slip waitlist renewals going on right now.
Okay, so if you're on a wait list, you have to renew that or you lose your spot?
That's correct.
Okay.
There's no penalty, there's no late fee. Once it hits February 15th, you're off the list. So make sure, those are the important ones. Make sure you get it in by February 15th.
Okay, and the February 15th date, that includes also the other moorings too?
That is mooring renewals and slip renewals
Okay.
for the wait list.
Okay, so if they fall off the list, what happens?
They're off.
They're off,
They're
so they
off.
have to go back into a lottery?
If those mooring fields are even open, the slip lists, wait lists are closed. So yes, they would be removed totally.
Yeah, so that's pretty important to dig through that mail,
It
huh?
certainly is. It certainly is.
Anything else you want folks to know about this time of year? Obviously getting your renewals in. There were some fee changes, I believe.
There were. The individual mooring fee change, it went from 90 to 135. We haven't gone up since 2015. And we did we looked at other municipalities throughout the area, and we're still among the lowest. And we have the most moorings, so it's still a great deal. It's $135, and it's a great way to be out there on the water. So
Right. How many mooring fields does the town have?
26.
26, and
Yes.
that includes both north and south
North
sides.
and south side, correct.
So basically, from anywhere in Barnstable, you can get a boat in the water and sit there all summer, right?
That's correct. You can.
Excellent. And I know that the marinas and boat slips and stuff, those are tight. Folks have those over, years and years and years kind of thing.
They do. A slip lease deposit is due by the end of this month, so January 31st. There's usually a lower turnover on the slips. It's usually, I know last year, I think maybe 2 people at the 4 town marinas didn't renew. Right. So, lower turnover there, and those are due on the 31st, so
Okay.
January 31st.
Excellent. Anything else you want folks to know?
No, just renewal season. Make sure you get your renewals in there, and we'll be there waiting for you.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
All right, thanks, Paul.
Here's a look at things to do, places to go, and people to meet. If the shoals and shores of Cape Cod could talk, perhaps they can on Sunday, January 27th at 2 p.m. at the Cape Cod Maritime Museum as part of their Sunday afternoon lecture series. Join noted historian, author, and filmmaker Don Wilding for his presentation of some of the greatest shipwrecks and rescues of Cape Cod's outer beaches. His talk narrows in on the earliest days of the U.S. Life-Saving Service to the early years of the U.S. Coast Guard in the first half of the 20th century, focusing on notorious shipwrecks, including the Italian bark Castanga, the Canadian schooner Montclair, and the British ship Jason, in which 25 men perished. RSV and more info at www.capecodmaritimemuseum.org. Now a look at the upcoming meetings for boards, commissions, and committees. Comments, suggestions, accolades, connect with us on Facebook and Instagram, email us, or send us an old-fashioned note by carrier pigeon. Channel 18 works. For you. I'm Paula Hersey, and thank you for watching Barnstable Today.